Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it is great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, we're really glad you joined us. I hope you like what you hear and you'll come back again. So, our podcast is for people who either want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. So, we focus on a lot of stuff about how to improve your day to day life, how to take control of the things you can control, how to stay calm in crazy situations, how to use logic and facts to make better decisions to put yourself in a better position to have the life you're looking to have. And along that line, that's entirely what today's episode is about. We're going to talk about how to stay cool when there's chaos going on around you. How do you keep your composure when other people around you are panicking? This can be good just for you. It can be good from a leadership perspective, and it's just good practice in general. So, when I was a baseball player, I loved pressure situations. Now, that doesn't mean they always went well because I have lost the game plenty of times as the pitcher that threw the pitch that got hit out of the park, as the batter up in a key situation that struck out or made an out and couldn't get a hit to extend the game, whatever the case may be. So things don't always work the way you want them to work. But one thing I've learned is that success is never final and failure is almost never fatal. So if you can learn from your mistakes, you can pick yourself back up and get back out there and apply the learnings that you've got from your last failure, you can actually build a pretty successful life for yourself. And so that's one of the things that we have focused on our entire life is that in pressure situations, we want to stay calm, we want to do our best, and we're going to let the chips fall where they may. Now, that doesn't mean that things always work out. That doesn't mean things always go great. That doesn't mean that there's not some really terrible things you're going to have to fight your way through. But it's easier to fight your way through them and get to a better outcome if you stay calm and don't compound the situation and make it worse by panicking. And so that's what the episode is about today. We're going to talk about common panic situations. We're going to give you tools and phrases to use, and we're going to give you real life examples of where you can see other people using these tools and phrases to stay calm in high pressure type jobs. Think about professional athletes that play intense games. Think about people that operate in big businesses where there's a lot of money at stake to be made or lost. Think about firefighters and police officers who are in life and death situations every day. Think about airline pilots who are responsible for hundreds of people's lives. And when things go wrong, people are counting on them to stay calm and work the problem, not to panic and make it worse. So we're going to go through all of those things and give you some situations, give you real tips that you can use to stay calm when others around you are panicking. So here we go. One more thing. If you think about it, panic can be contagious. So that is fight or flight, right? It's wired into us. And it's from when 2,000 years ago, when we all lived in caves and a saber-toothed tiger came wandering by. That's a fight or flight response. You can run away from that thing, you can fight that thing, but you got to be prepared to stay alive. You've got to stay calm and figure out how to stay alive. Now, the people that panic usually wound up at saber-toothed tiger's dinner. But that emotion that flows can be contagious. So when one person panics, it can cause other people to panic around them. And pretty soon it's spreading like an epidemic or a disease. Well, composure and calmness can be contagious as well. If people see you staying calm, if people see you staying focused, if people see you staying composed, that helps them as well. And then you've got a couple more people on your side that are thinking the same way, that are doing the same things, that can help you solve the problem, whatever it is that you're facing. So let's walk through some real life panic situations that are common for people to lose control, to get excited, to allow their emotions to get the best of them, and how you can work through those. So number one, let's say you're giving a big presentation to a client and your computer doesn't work, or the presentation that you're supposed to present doesn't come up. What you'll see a lot is people get excited. You'll see people raise their voice. You'll see people blaming other people. You'll see finger pointing. I thought Steve was supposed to bring it. Well, Betty was supposed to be the one that put this together. Don't do those things. It's not useful. A better way to approach it is say, hey, let's pause for a moment. We're going to focus on what we control. We're going to work the situation. We should have this up and running in a little bit. So appreciate your patience. Just bear with us and we'll work through this glitch. Big difference between, hey, it's Steve, it's Betty, it's whatever the case may be, to let's just stay calm. It's not the end of the world. We can figure this out and we'll get to the bottom of it. All right. So that's a work situation. How about a family emergency? One of your kids gets injured, your spouse is panicking, whatever the case may be. I can tell you when we have 3 boys now, but before we had the third one, the second son hit the first son in the head with a golf club. I think one was 5 and one was 3. So the 3-year-old hit the 5-year-old in the head with a golf club because they were in an argument. If anyone that has boys doesn't need any further explanation to that scenario. I had just gotten home from work and I was in the hallway. We were looking at my son and it was clear that he was going to need stitches or something to stop the bleeding on his head. So I told my wife, hey, you go put pressure on it, keep the bleeding under control. I'm going to change my clothes real quick and then I'll take him to the emergency room. So as we were going by, I was wearing a tie and I went to yank my tie off. And as I did that, I elbowed my wife directly in the eye. I hit her harder than I've hit guys in fights. And I've been in my share of fights. But I cracked my wife right in the eye with an elbow. And she immediately doubled over. I mean, I hit her so hard. And I said, no, you're going to have to tough this one out because there's no way that a guy that looks like me, 6'3", looks like a big gorilla, shows up in an emergency room with a kid with a divot in his head and a wife with a black eye and doesn't wind up in jail. So you're going to have to put a stake on that thing and tough it out. But it's just an example of we had to stay calm. We had to work the situation. He got 4 staples in his head. My wife's eye was fine and everything worked out. But you're going to wind up in those situations where people get frantic. They elevate their voices. They panic. And the best thing to do is take a breath. We'll figure this out. You call 911. I'll handle pressure on the wound, whatever the case may be. You've got to work the situation and work the problem. If you've ever seen Apollo 13, that's one of the first things that the commander, Gene, what's his name? Gene Kranz in the movie. Oh, his name's Gene Kranz in real life, but everyone realizes they've got a big problem. And that's what he says. People work the problem. He calms the whole room down and says, this is the situation we're in. It's not great. Now it's all of our jobs to work this situation and get these 3 guys home. And that was a real calming effect. And that's real life. That was a real life situation with 3 people 200,000 miles from Earth who are counting on the people in Houston at ground control to stay calm and help them get back. So same thing applies to any similar situation in your life. How about public incidents? Airport delays. I happen to fly a lot for my job, and I have for a long time. So someone causes a scene, someone gets all worked up, the plane is delayed 2 hours. All those things happen, and people, because they feel helpless and they feel threatened, they get anxious, they get angry, they start to rebel. And the best thing you can do, there's 2 things. You can remove yourself, just completely ignore it and let people do what they're going to do. You can regulate your breath. Or one thing I do is I'll just start talking to people and say, it's a bummer, but I'd rather be safe because there's a storm, or I'd rather be safe because there's a mechanical problem. They're trying to take care of us. Let's let them work their job. Even when it's the airline's fault and even when it seems like they're incompetent, we've all had bad days at work. We've all had things happen to us. I wouldn't want someone to treat me, my spouse, my kids, my relatives, the way I see people treat other people in restaurants, in airports, in retail stores. So think about it from that perspective and see if you can talk some sense into the other person and say, hey, it's not the end of the world. Let's just work through what's your problem? What can we do? Maybe there's something we can do to solve it. Or maybe there's being a jerk and you can say, hey, quit being a jerk. I wouldn't treat you that way. Don't treat that person that way. Another thing to do is just be friendly to them. Hey, I'll buy you a drink. Let's just go get a drink. Calm down. Those are all things you can do. But the whole point is you stay calm when there's anxiousness going on around you and panic going on around you. So, number 4, financial turmoil. So the stock market crashes. You get hit with a big unexpected bill. Somebody in your family loses their job. Those are tough situations, no question about it. Panic can lead people to make impulsive decisions. And you want to minimize panic and minimize impulsive decisions. It's in those situations where it's most important to stay calm, to stay rational, to work the problem, to lay out all of your options and figure out which options make the most sense to you at that point unemotionally. So when you're in those situations, you can just use a grounding phrase and say, hey, the facts haven't changed. I'm going to take this one step at a time. I understand the situation I'm in. I'm going to work the problem and I'm going to lay out all my options and make a good decision. Use some type of phrase like that to keep yourself focused, to keep yourself grounded, to keep yourself from panicking, and you're going to be in a much better place. Okay, that all sounds good. It sounds good to say that while we're sitting here. What happens when you're on the side of the road and you just had a car accident, or you're somewhere and your kid just got injured, or your spouse comes home and says, "Hey, I got laid off today." Those are real life situations. They're not great, but you're going to have to deal with those situations. So how do we actually do that? What are the steps? What are the physical things that we can do, or mental things we can do, to keep ourselves in a good headspace? Number one, and most important one in my opinion, is breathing. You've got to learn to control your breathing. We've talked about it on this channel a lot. I'm a big fan of what I call cleansing breaths. Breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. If you got to do that 5 times, do it 5 times. That helps lower cortisol. It helps reset your nervous system, and it helps restore calm and logic in your brain. Another tip is what's called box breathing, which is when you breathe in for 4 seconds. So keep inhaling for 4 seconds. Then you hold that breath for 4 seconds. Then you exhale that breath for 4 seconds. And then you wait 4 seconds before breathing again. It does exactly the same thing that we just talked about with the cleansing breath. Either way, whatever works for you on those breathing exercises, find one that works for you. And I am telling you, it is like magic. If you can control your breathing, it will do so much to help control your mindset, reset your nervous system, and allow you to stay calm, stay logical, and work the problem. Number 2, change the tone. And I mean that literally. When people get excited, their voices raise. They talk faster. They talk louder. So you can do the opposite. You can speak slowly. You can speak deliberately. You can speak very specifically, like I am right now. Enunciate your words. And then drop the pitch of your voice slightly. So instead of getting up excited like this, then we're going to stay calm. We're going to say, hey, let's just stay calm. Let's work the problem. Not a great situation, but this is where we are, and we're going to deal with it. So you can use a phrase like that. Let's just take a breath. Let's take a minute before we act. Let's think this through before we do anything crazy. Let's make sure we're using our heads. Some type of phrase like that to ask other people to join you in staying calm, staying focused on the problem, and working the problem. So let's assume you do that for a second, and then you've got people listening, or at least thinking. Then you can use what are called grounding statements and get everybody focused on the same thing. Like, hey, what's the most important thing that we need to do right now? What is the best possible outcome from where we sit right now? Knowing these facts, what is the best possible scenario? Let's focus on one thing at a time. All of those are things that make people think critically, think logically, and remove emotion from the equation and helps keep them calm. So those are great tips and tools that you can use not only for yourself, but to engage other people and keep them calm, which will help you manage the situation. Because if you don't have to worry about a couple people over here freaking out, it allows you to focus on the problem, focus on your options, and focus on making good decisions, which is what we're trying to do in these situations. So you can use visual anchors. You can focus on a fixed object or mentally zoom out from the situation and try to look at it big picture. You know, Tom Brady was famous for this. It's one of the reasons he was such an effective quarterback, is because especially in pressure moments, he was really good at scanning the field and making quick battle time decisions. And it's a similar situation when you're in one of these tough, tense situations and others are panicking. Find something visual, look around and assess the situation. If you're in the boardroom and you're making the presentation, who is it that's panicking? How does the customer look? How do the people in charge look? Can you do anything to help calm their nerves or give them a sense of well-being or confidence that you're going to be able to solve this problem? Number 5, another thing you can do, mental rehearsal. So train yourself to expect stress and walk through those responses that you're going to have to that stress in advance. This is why pilots stay calm when things go really wrong with their plane. If you've ever heard cockpit voice recorders of pilots working through serious problems, It's very rare to hear a pilot yelling, to hear a pilot speaking in fast tones, to hear a pilot panicking, because they've gone through this training over and over and over again. First responders do the same thing. Police officers go through training like this over and over and over again. Firefighters, paramedics, nurses, doctors go through this training over and over and over again. When's the last time you saw a nurse panic or a doctor panic? They've gone through years and years of training and used that very specific specialized training to stay calm in really tense situations. Military members are the same way. So, it's like my sign up here that I have. Where is it? Right over there. Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until you punch them in the face. And people have a tendency to panic when that happens. If you're in the military and someone starts shooting at you, I don't know about you, I've been shot at twice in my life. And so I know what it's like to be shot at. I've never been in the military. I've never been in a combat zone. I've never had other people, like an enemy trying to kill me, but I have been shot at twice and I didn't lose my cool in either of those situations. So it's terribly, terribly important to stay calm in those situations. So we talked about things you can do. What are some things you should avoid or not do? Number one is don't mirror other people's panic. So when you see other people panicking, pause, take a breath, remove yourself, stay calm. Don't mirror the behavior that you're witnessing. Don't add to the problem. Just as important, you don't want to minimize a bad situation. So if you know something's bad, don't say, oh, it's not a big deal, because it invalidates people's real concerns and they're not going to have any confidence in you because you're not even smart enough or truthful enough to face up to the fact that, hey, this is tough. We're not in a good spot here. We got problems. So you have to acknowledge it, but you have to do it in a calm, unemotional, logical way. And then third, don't overpromise. Everything's going to be fine. If someone's in a store shooting and you're hiding behind a rack, you don't know that everything's going to be fine. Don't tell people everything's going to be fine. You've got to stay calm and work that problem, but you can't overpromise. You have to be honest, but you have to stay steady. You have to stay unemotional, and you have to stay left-brained, logical, fact-based. That's where you need to be. So from a leadership perspective, what are some things you can do, like how you carry yourself or how you speak in these situations to instill confidence in the group that's looking up to you? One is body language, open posture. Don't cross your arms. Don't shrink down. People are looking for someone to be standing tall, being open with body language, making eye contact with people, staying calm in those situations. Body language is super, super important. And then there's some phrases or things you can say. Hey, here's what we know. Here's the situation. Here are the facts we know for sure. I'm staying calm and I need you to be with me. I need you to stay calm with me. Just like that. Unemotional. You're not beating them over the head. It's not, you're instilling confidence in them that, hey, we're going to work through this, but I need you to stay calm and work through it with me. We've been here before. We've handled things like this before. We'll do it again. Right? We've all been in this situation. We know what we need to do. Now let's stay calm and go do it. All right? So some examples of that are like Sully Sullenberger when he landed that plane in the Hudson. That was a very tough situation, and he had 155 people or so that were counting on him to stay calm, and he did. That was a crazy thing that he pulled off there. You see it in sports a lot where captains or leaders on teams are keeping the rest of their team calm in tense situations down to the last few minutes of the game. The game is on the line in overtime, and you've got to be able to perform at a high level. The best way to do that is stay calm, rely on your training, and work the problem, work the situation, and make the best possible choices you can to give yourself the best chance at the best outcome. So, wrapping it up, some things we talked about, some techniques that you can use to stay calm in these situations. Control your breathing, ground people with clear, calm, unemotional phrases and statements, and use body language to lead. So when you see people doing the opposite, when you see people panicking, you want to do the opposite. You want to be the voice of reason. You want to be what brings calm to these situations. And if you follow these tips and techniques that we gave you, it gives you a much better chance to do that. So another thing to think about is just practice this in small situations when people tend to panic. And then you're going to be ready for the big ones when they come. But we're all going to face really tough, tense situations in our life. We're going to face high pressure situations in our life. And the more prepared we are, the more we practice these things, the better off we're going to be. So hopefully you'll be able to take these, practice them, and use them in your real life and show leadership in tough situations. You'll be in a great spot if you do. So appreciate everyone checking out the show. This is our Friday episode, so we're hoping everyone has a great weekend. James puts it up over here every day. We've got our website, saltygingertalk.com. All the podcast episodes are there. All of the social media links are there. We publish a newsletter every weekday that you can subscribe to that on that website. And please, please, please like, comment, subscribe to our channel on whatever platform you consume it on. Super helpful for us. We're seeing pretty consistent growth, and we're very happy about that. We hope our message is reaching people and helping you build better lives, giving you the tools you need to be successful in your personal relationships, in your professional life, and managing your own personal and mental health. So hope that works out great. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday's episode.